Okay, I think the screenwriters are just getting a little lazy now. Scream 3, released in the year 2000, and is directed by Wes Craven, who has directed such films like Swamp Thing, A Nightmare on Elm Street, Scream, Scream 2, and Scream 4. And this film is starring Neve Campbell, Patrick Dempsey, Jenny McCarthy, Parker Posey, Dion Richmond, former WCW champion David Arquette, and Courtney Cox Arquette? I never knew they were married. What? When did that happen? I am so out of the loop with pop culture that was a thing? Wow. Okay. No wonder why they shared the screen for, like, 98% of this movie. How to just stay with her, David, after those bangs she had in this film, though. My God. What was she thinking? The first time I saw her on screen, I looked at her bangs and I said, oh no, someone messed up. Sydney has graduated from college and is now living in a remote cabin in the woods, away from all civilization. Meanwhile, in Hollywood, the film studio is getting ready for Stab 3, which it soon revealed that the next Ghostface killer had an early preview of the script and is now actually enacting all of the kills in real life. So now two non-detectives of Dewey and Gale Weathers try their best to track down the killer before he kills anymore. And I mean it when I feel like the screenwriter got lazy with this one, because it's basically a movie about the movie without it being the movie, if that makes sense. It does. The first two prided themselves on being meta, like talking about rules and tropes about slasher films and horror films, and who's probably going to be the first people to die, or who's going to be the ones to survive. You're a virgin, you have a good chance. And here it's doing an aspect of the same thing, but basically, like, the movie in the movie is the movie. Whoever Ghostface is got an advance copy of the script and read through it and saw who was murdered first and who was second and third and all that, and starts going around, and whoever the actors are playing the real-life characters in the original Scream film, or at least the original Stab film, I should say, Ghostface will go around and kill all of those actors representing those people. It's a rehash of the first one, or at least attempting to, in a stylized, metaphorical way of it being a sequel. And it knows it's a sequel. This movie does have some amazing cameos, though. Patrick Warburton, who you may not know the name, but once you hear his voice and you see his face on screen, you will definitely recognize him and go like, oh yes, you are that guy.
Hey Peter, I'm gonna take a look around and make sure the Ghostface killer isn't anywhere to be seen.
And one incredible cameo from the late and very great Carrie Fisher. When she popped up on screen, my face immediately burst into a smile, and she even played off of herself. Like, they go into the records room, they see her, and they go like, wait, aren't you? She goes, no, but I've been compared to her my entire life. I went out for the role of Princess Leia, actually, but I just refused to sleep with the director, unlike the original bitch. I love Carrie Fisher. I wish she was still here for shit like that. She is awesome. So seeing her cameo in this movie was amazing. And I love how this movie is trying to adapt itself, like stick with the same formula about this Ghostface killer. It's always calling someone, but now because technology is improving, we no longer have AOL Instant Messenger, right? We have better internet connection. We need to up the ante with the technology in this movie, so Ghostface Killer has this voice modulator to where he sounds exactly like the other characters to trick our victims. Oh no, what are our victims gonna do after they hear the obviously modulated tones of voice on the phone or around the corner? Oh no! These characters in these movies are getting dumb. They're getting dumber. This tends to happen in every single franchise, in particular horror franchise, where it just kind of gets worse and worse and worse. And that's the trajectory that we're on. I will say that Neve Campbell being like the face of this franchise and being the prominent person on the poster, she's not really in this movie a lot. She's being secluded. Sydney is trying to be removed from society. And I loved when she logged in on her computer to do her job. I'm like, what is she doing for work? She's like a grief counselor on the phone. Like, she takes in calls from people needing someone to talk them down off of a ledge. And I immediately smiled and I looked over at my wife and I said, oh my God, this is the very first time we are seeing someone work remotely in movies. Scream 3 had it down pat 20 years before 2020 2020 and all of us had to start working remotely. David Arquette and Courtney Cox return here, and David Arquette, apparently Dewey is like invincible. He has like Wolverine healing powers. He will get stabbed, he will get shot, he will get beat up in every single movie up to this point, but he still comes back. I want to see, like in number 4, him to be like just this little cripple. His legs are all like nerve damage and his hands just like form claws. Please tell me that happens, that he's in the 4th one and he's just all banged up with all of the shit that's happened to him. And like I said, Courtney Cox, what's going on with those bangs? Like you want a mullet, but you don't want to fully commit, is what I was getting from it. It was kind of an abandonment of this character, Gale Weathers, who in the first 2, she's a news reporter and she's always trying to get the scoop. Here, it seemed like she completely abandoned that. Like, she's already achieved that, so she's trying to live out the rest of her days as, like, a makeshift detective. But you can't do that, Gale. You can't, because we brought in Patrick Dempsey to do that in this movie. Because, you know, Patrick Dempsey and Grey's Anatomy and blah, blah, blah. He's popular at this time. For some reason. Scream 3, it's an okay sequel. It's not terrible in any way. I was engaged in trying to figure out who the killer is. That mystique is still there, trying to figure out who is committing all of the murders. And just like in Scream 2 and the original Scream, it has a little commentary, a social commentary on Hollywood. Scream 2 was talking about how violence in movies and in video games affects everyday lives and is the reason why violence is happening in the world, or at least that's the theory. And here they're exposing a lot of the disgusting and assaulty things that directors have done over the many decades in Hollywood to a bunch of actresses, you know, giving them roles for a couple of other things. A lot of quid pro quo things going on here. It's definitely not the best one. It's not one that I'm going to clamor to go back and watch, but it was also enjoyable at times. I do get worried at this point in horror franchises. They typically rely on like a dream trope, and there are, I think it happens a couple times in this movie where Sydney is falling asleep on the couch and then sees like a ghost or something horrific, and then she wakes up but she's still dreaming. It's a dream within a dream. We typically see that in a lot of horror franchises, and I hope this is the only instance for it. We'll check out Scream 4 and Scream 5 the rest of this week for the release of Scream 6 this weekend, so until then, I'm going to give Scream 3 2.5 out of 5 Blu-rays.
I found that if you have a goal, that you might not reach it. But if you don't have one, then you are never disappointed. And I gotta tell you, it feels phenomenal.
So guys, if you've seen Scream 3, what did you think about it? Or if you've never seen it before and you stumbled across because of this video, then comment below, let me know what you thought about it. And as always, if you like what you see here, if you like my take on movies, then hit the subscribe button and make sure you hit that bell. See you the next time I'm releasing my next movie review. So guys, I will see you next time on the channel, but in the meantime, be well, be good to each other, and go watch a movie. Take care, guys.